Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi
Waalaikumsalam
wabarakatuh.
warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
How are you guys?
I'm great, sir.
Okay, because we cannot meet directly, we must um, we must learning from the Google Meet platform because because condition of now is still pandemic. The narrative text. Is anyone knows what is narrative text? Okay, narrative text is an essay that tells in detail an event or events based on time sequence. Narrative text tells a story mainly used to entertain, motivate, or teach. The narrative text is same with the context, but the difference with narrative text is that narrative context is that narrative text aim to entertain, motivate, to give message to readers that are imaginative in nature and can be in the form of fiction made by the community which is not proven true. Okay, the next is this is the story type of narrative text. Number one, real life drama. Number two, fantasy story, fictional fantasy story, example like Harry Potter. Number three, adventure story or travel like the adventure of Tintin. Number four, science fiction, a story about the impact of imagined science and technology on society and individuals. Number five, mystery. Mystery story is a story about something that is not known with certainty and attracts people curiously and is usually about a horror or supernatural event. Number six, classic story. Classic story are ancient stories that know no time limit can be enjoyed up to 1,000 years from now. And then fairy tale and the stories that have been passed down from generation to generation as ever the stories are imaginative and fictitious, for example about animals and plants talking. And then number eight, legend, ancient folklore related to events and the origin of the occurrence of a place. And then number nine, myth story, ancient folklore about the universe, such as the creation of the world and the existence of creatures in it, and is considered to have really happened by just like Nyiro Kidul and etc. And then number 10 is most popular is fable or animal story, a fictional story in the form of a fairy tale that describes human character as compared to an animal. For example, like the mouse, deer, and the crocodile. And next, the general structure of narrative text. This four general structure of narrative text, namely number orientation, complication, resolution, and reorientation. Orientation, the opening paragraph, is located at the beginning of the text that introduces what and who the characters are involved in the incidents, when it happened, and where the incident occurred. And complications, problem arise, begin to occur, and develop into a dilemma, conflict, or problem between one character and another. And resolution, the paragraph that becomes the end of the story. The problem is solved, either happy ending or bad and even tragic or bad ending. Reorientation or coda or conclusion or moral message. a closing in the form of a conclusion or moral message delivered. And then next, the narrative text features. Contents of the text. The content of the text or essay discusses certain stories, events, and stories consisting of several paragraph arrangements and uses narrative style or tells according to the order of time. The stories might have a clear chronology or sequence, starting from the beginning of the story to the end of the story. Contains an event in which there is a conflict, has forming elements such as theme, setting, time, character, or characterization, character, and others. And the next feature is language elements. The narrative text uses the past tense, adverb of time, like once upon a time, long, long ago, a long time ago, it happened one day, that, etc. And then time conjunction, when, then, suddenly. Specific characters are not common. Action verbs are verbs that show action, like kill, drag, walk. Direct speech. Direct speech is in the present tense. Like Snow White said, my name is Snow White. Okay, that's some explanation about the narrative text. Maybe anyone have a example of narrative text? Maybe Mbak Bella. Have you um example of narrative text? If you have the example of narrative text, please to your um please tell to me and your friends.
Yes, sir. I have with the title The Ugly Duckling. A little duckling was terribly unhappy because he thought he was the ugliest amongst all his brothers and sisters. They did not play with him and titillated the poor ugly duckling. One day he saw his reflections within the water and cried, "Nobody likes me. I'm so ugly." He decided to go too far away from home and went far off into the woods. Deep within the forest, he saw a cottage in which there lived an old lady, her hen and her cat. The duckling stayed with them for a few times, however, he was sad there and shortly left. Once the winter set in, the poor duckling nearly froze to death. A peasant took him home to his woman and kids. The poor duckling was afraid of the kids and escaped. The ugly duckling spent the winter in a very marshy lake. Finally, spring arrived. One day, the duckling saw a curious swan swimming within the lake and fell in love with her. Then again, and he remembered how everybody made fun of him and he bent his head down in shame. Once, he saw his own reflections in the water. He was astonished. He wasn't an unsightly duckling any longer, but a handsome young swan. Now, he knew why he was looked so completely different from his brother and sister. They were they were duckling, but I used to be a baby swan, he said to himself. He married the curious swan and lived happily ever once.
Okay, great. Thank you, Babella. Okay, before I close the class, I will give you an assignment. The assignment is find the example of narrative text and then read the narrative text, record your voice and send to me. I want I want to know your speaking skill. this assignment, submit next week. Okay, thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, sir.